Proof sets, the finest quality set put out by the U.S. Mint every year, our best coins. How many of you know when they started and what they used to look like before San Francisco took over in 1968? Well, the originals going back to 1950. The first 6 years are known as the boxed sets. Crazy packaging, and we have the originals here tonight. That would be for the last 2 years of issue. That would be 1954 and 1955. These will not last long. So if it's on your checklist, tonight's the night. This is the first time we've had them this year. You just don't find them. And the reason why you don't find them is, well, where do you think all the high-grade certified coins come from? The proof. And this is how they packaged them in 1954 and 1955. But they had them in a poly sleeve, stapled together. It's like a 2x2 flip stapled. Beautiful sets when you can find them. Most of the time you find them repackaged, and we'll show you that as well. The anchor, obviously, is the 3 silvers, the Roosevelt dime, Washington quarter, and the Franklin half dollar in these. And again, from 1950 to 1955, this is how they produced the sets. This is how they packaged them. Now, in 1955, halfway through the year, we changed what they call the polypack or envelope sets. And there's that polypack. They improved them, put it more in a flat style with the U.S. Mint seal on it, and then air bubbled it. Now, most of you probably have seen these older sets, though, in what they call the Capital Plastics holder, the repack. Because, again, these boxes are cardboard. And the tissue is, well, tissue paper, and then the plastic and the staples. I can't tell you how many times you see these sets, and the staples are all rusted out because, well, they're 3/4 of a century old. But tonight we're going back to the version 1 of all of our proofs. If you look at the history, 1950 to 1955 were these beautiful boxed proof sets. Then you go from 1955 to 1964, Philadelphia put them in those poly packs. We're going to show you again here in a second. 1968, San Francisco took over, and for the last half century, they've been putting them in hard plastic lenses. And then there's been the variety sets, prestige sets, legacy sets, limited edition silver proof sets, and then the silver proof set from 1992 to the present. The proof set's a major staple in our history. When you're looking at multiple millions of proof sets made every year, when you go back to the beginning of the proof set era, these are special. And that's because up until 1949, you had to know somebody to get a proof coin. And they didn't get a proof set per se. You got a proof coin. In 1950, they opened up proof set ownership to the American public. And then, the last 3/4 of a century, it's been the craziness that we have today. But who doesn't love a proof? It's a method of manufacture. You look at these, a regular business striker is struck once, right? There's no polish on the dies, it's just struck once, and the coin pops out, and we see it in their pocket. And the pressure they have, the techniques they have, give you a pretty cool looking coin. But then proof, again, the method of manufacture is a polished die. So the front and the back are polished. Then the piece of metal is polished. And then it's not struck once, but it's struck twice, which is why you get that mirrored background. And on these older proofs, that deep mirror, right, across the board. They didn't start frosting until later with the technique improvements. So these are solid, clear proofs, which is the way they struck them at this time in history. So again, all of ours are in these original boxes with the tissue paper. You'll have varieties of writing on the outside, but all of the Jim Jones and or etc. written on the outside. Those are the boxes we kicked out. All of ours will have a reference to the year at the most. And that's the improvement, big improvement, and then the hard plastics we see today. Break this down. That set right there from 1954 and 1955, my competition has it at $2.99. We are $100 less, and ours is in the original rarer format. Try finding these on auction sites and what those go for. And it's because you don't find them anymore. The proof craze, the proof Franklins, the proof Lincolns, where do they come from? Well, they come from these sets. High grades come from sets that were never opened or stored delicately. So finding any of them that just have that look and feel today are, well, like finding a needle in a haystack. And tonight, well, for the first time this year, we got them for a few minutes. I only have a handful of each. The your choice means if you want to just get the 55 because you want to have the year it went from this format to the other, and you can get both. They have a poly pack for 1955 as well. Go for it. You're putting proof sets together and you just have the Capital Plastics version. Well, that's a wonderful thing to have because the proof coins are the proofs. That mintage I gave you of only 233,000 sets, that's all the sets, but they all were issued in that box. Today, you're lucky to find a handful of them that way. If you break it down, the 3 silver coins alone give you a crazy value. And they're only from these sets. The dime, $34. The quarter, $53 to $59. The Franklin, 1955 is $174. 1954 is closer to $200. Add them all up, you're at that $260 to $290 price point for the big 3 silvers that are in these sets. Again, my competition with a set, repackaged of course, at $299, and tonight we're at just $199.95, while the original boxed sets last. So now we're taking a trip in our time capsule back to a time where many just didn't think of this is what we would do. But what has evolved over time? I mean, we didn't get the hard plastic lenses until 1968 when San Francisco took over. And look at the hard plastic lenses today. Very similar to that style in 68. It's just the outer packaging that is different. But at this time, that's how it was done. Hey, have a proof. But when you look at the current rarity of the 2000s, which is the 2012, and it had 396,000 sets made, the brand new one from the last decade. And it sells for $250 to $300 wherever you can find it. And then you can go back 3/4 of a century, find these in the original boxes, of which they made only 233,000 and 378,000. Very tiny numbers. And today, they're only $199.95 with us. Guys, we got to put a 30-second clock up. Thank you for that. You're seeing the same thing I'm seeing, which is lots of phone calls, and we're down to a handful of sets left. If you're visiting us via the web, push it through. Every night we have a few people that are hanging with us for a few more hours, and thank you so much for that. We appreciate it. But you put things into your shopping cart, it doesn't secure it. It just puts it there. When you'll push it through and it gives you an order number, then it's a very high chance that everything's fine and dandy on that one. But tonight it's the originals. It's the boxed proof sets from the last 2 years they did it. 1954 and 1955. And yes, look at that price. That price and these sets are something special.